All right. So to follow through with what I started last week, just the power of social media, we're going to talk about more about tools and systems that you can put in place to make social media easier and to gain a positive return on investment with your time. Because if there's one thing we all know, we have so little time. So we want to maximize what we get out of the time we spend on social media because it is so easy. I'm sure we all can agree to it because I mean, working in social media, I can go down that rabbit hole and look at something and watch a video. And the next thing I know, wait a minute, why did I get on here? So I think we're all guilty of that. It's just so it's the way social media is. So with further ado, let's go to the next slide. So tools and systems, and I'll take the next slide. So what I really want you to do is really look at your business and know your business. The better you know your business, the better you can share your business with people. So I'm sure you've all gone through missions and vision statements. Make sure you know that. Make sure you know your why. Simon Sinek is a fantastic know your why person. He did a TED talk on know your why. You can just do a search on Google for Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K. And he does a really good job of helping you funnel that why down. How do you want the world to know your business? Because if you're not speaking about your business in a certain way, they will come up with what your business, the less you say about your business, the more you're giving people the ability to come up with their own ideas. And what our brains do as humans is if there's gaps in what they know, if there's gaps in what you know, you're going to come up with your own story. So you want them to have the story you want them to know about. So make sure you know what you want the world to think about your business. Why purchase from you? Why not your competitor? Know those bullet points of what makes you different, what makes you unique. And that means anything. We talked about that last week with someone who was saying that they're a little quirky, or they said that they have a different kind of sense of humor. Well, maybe that different sense of humor or that quirkiness is exactly what sets you apart. And that's why you want your people to come to you, and you need to tell them what those things are for them to go, oh, you are the one I want to work with because of this, and this. Do you support a charity? Do you donate money to different causes? Feel free to say those things. We really need to stand up and let people know that's who we are. Because the more we do that, the more they will find you. They're not going to be looking under rocks. You need to tell them. How do you describe your company culture? These are all just little examples of how to dig deeper. You can write these down and really think about it. And if things aren't coming to your mind on one occasion that you're sitting down and doing this, then just let it go and come back to it another time. You just never know. Maybe on a walk, you're taking a shower, you're sleeping, and you wake up and you think of things. Those are all good ways of taking some notes and coming up with what your business is all about. I like to talk about personality. Your business definitely has a personality. There's people who are snarky on social media. There are people who have a different kind of sense of humor. For instance, Death Wish Coffee, I think I might have mentioned this last week. They have a distinctive sense of humor, and they use that, and their name is Death Wish Coffee. And you kind of think that it's bad in some way, but it's not. They really follow through with how they want their business to be perceived, and people like that. They get a chuckle out of what they post and how they post. Are you involved in the community? What a great, that is content. If you are sponsoring something, if you're not sponsoring something and you have the ability to throw some money at a community event, say that you're part of that community event, and say it on social so people know that you're part of that. It helps to ask a trusted customer. You know, if you're struggling with this, you definitely have customers. That's why you're in business. Ask them. Here's the thing is if people love to be asked, and a lot of times we hold back asking these questions, ask anyways, get over it. The more you ask, the more information you get. Get your followers to know, like, and trust you on your social platforms. That is the key to why you're doing everything you're doing. For them to know you, you need to share who you are. For them to like you, you've got to kind of share some things about your business and personality of your business for them to know, oh, I do like them. And then trust. Trust is a big thing. So I'll go ahead and take the next slide. Okay, so not only do you need to know your business, but you need to know your customer. Being able to clearly define your ideal customer helps to narrow down the right content that you're going to share. One of the reasons we need this clarity is to know where to fish, meaning, you know, you start investigating who your customer is, and then you realize, well, I'm super busy on Facebook, but my people aren't there. Or maybe that's why I don't get any likes. I don't get any comments. People aren't seeing my posts because your people aren't there. So the more you know your customer, you know where to really focus your social media, and be realistic with that. Can you manage consistently? I'm just pulling a number out, you know, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Because if you can't consistently post, I see this time and time again where someone's fired up, they go, hi, I can do this at the beginning of the year. You created all this, you went through your business and you planned for the year, but you really didn't plan for social media, and you kind of run out of content, and then you're overthinking and not posting. And the next thing you know, oh my gosh, it's been a week, it's been a month. Oh my God, it's been 2 months, it's been 3 months, it's been 6 months since I posted. You don't want to get into that, that delayed posting issue, because it really is hard to pick up that momentum. The momentum is really good for the algorithm. It's really good for your presence. So do you have time to properly engage with people? That's really good momentum as well. You want to check those notifications, as I mentioned last time. It's important for people for them to say what they have to say, and then for you to listen to what they have to say. So what are your customers' hopes, dreams, fears, and pain points? Pain points are definitely part of your content strategy. How can I use their pain points to show them what I can do for them? How can I help them get to where they want to be? Focus on value. So this kind of helps you with your content calendar in terms of, well, some of my content can entertain. On Fridays, you know, Funny Friday. It could be just your sense of humor or how you use that on a Funny Friday entertainment, but people love to be entertained. And maybe you have a pet that's super funny. Use that pet, put them in your office so that you can take pictures and videos, or where your location where you sell your product. Inform is always on there. Inspire them. Some things that you do can inspire others. You lead by example, so use that in your content. Education, always good. Tell a story. Storytelling is a fantastic way to always share your brand. Figure out, so really taking notes. You guys, everybody has a phone. We came up with that last week. Take notes when you have something, because I think these ideas come to us. We just go, when we go to do something and we're in front of the computer, or we're in our platform to schedule something or write something, our minds are blank. So have you can have a little electronic cheat sheet, you can have a notepad, whatever it is. Take those notes so that you can remember that you have. Some people use Excel spreadsheets and do, you know, set it all out. Some people are super organized. That's a fantastic way, month by month. Ask questions. People love to answer questions. So always remember you can ask questions. There's polls on the different platforms to use. You can just do it organically, ask it in a post, that kind of thing. I'll take another slide. Okay, so choose your platform. you know, if people are on multiple platforms, you know they're on multiple platforms. Be strategic, pick two that you think of, and then be limber, be flexible in, hey, do some testing. Post on, pick two and use those, pick one and use that and see how it goes. Give it a good month, see how things are going. Are you finding some traction? Not finding traction? Try another platform that you know they're on. Because your voice might be so much better received on one platform versus another. We talked about that with social audio. Maybe audio is the way to go, and maybe you really shine when you speak in audio, and that's how you really connect. And then you could do videos as well because of that. So the easier it is for you, the more likely you're going to do it, right? So don't think, oh, I've got to do this. I've got to push through it. I need to do Twitter, X, or Instagram, but I hate it. Like, again, you know, you're really juggling what are the best platforms? What's best for me? Start with that. So if your business is visual, we talked about this, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, and TikTok are very, very visual as well. Really cater to a younger audience. They're definitely, none of this is black and white. Very gray. There are a lot of fantastic accounts on Snapchat and TikTok that are not young, but just know that if you have a young audience, tweens are your go-to. Those are the ones that you really want to focus on. Service business, LinkedIn, hands down. LinkedIn has really evolved over the years. People are using LinkedIn more and more. When platforms kind of go up and down and you're getting a lot of like this yo-yo effect with things happening and I'm not liking this, or the platform doesn't work, it goes down. People move right away. They go to another platform and start doing their work. And you can see that people kind of gravitate towards LinkedIn at times, and you can use it with video, with posting, and people use it in some ways that I wouldn't agree with, but definitely a service business is good for that. B2B, very good for that. Local businesses, Facebook, nonprofits, LinkedIn, food industry, Instagram. I wouldn't really call Yelp a social media platform, but I would definitely be on Yelp because you want to look at those reviews and also answer when people have bad feedback. You want to jump on that right away and reply to those bad reviews. Try to rectify it out in public so it shows that you're a good leader and you care. I'll take the next slide. Okay, so strategy and planning. This could be a multi-day event. We're just going to touch on strategy and planning, but include your social media in your planning yearly. Now, a lot of people are going into the end of this last quarter of the year, planning for next year with their business. Add social media to that. Even if social media isn't a big part of your business now, maybe it will be in your future. And so make sure you touch on that. Maybe something's going to happen in the second quarter of next year or the third quarter of next year, and that would be a good time to really make a good social media push. Plan that now so that you know, okay, we need to ramp up, have the people to do the work. Do we have the content? You can think now of what you need, and then you have those months to start putting your plan together and taking those steps to get to where you want to be when you hit those quarterly times. Important to check daily. We talked about that last time. Again, you know, these are just numbers you need to adjust for your own business. If 15 minutes is too much, if any minutes is too much, yes, I think it's Emily I'm talking to, then again, maybe you're not going to talk about this until next year, third quarter. But if you have the time, allocate some time. If you're on social media and you're doing social media, you have to allocate time to checking so that people aren't just sitting there going, well, I put something, I said something by direct message and I haven't heard from you in a week. That's way too long. The more active you are on accounts, the more active people are, you need to put a little bit more time into those things. Or if you run a campaign, We ran a campaign for a company last week that was doing an event. It was an autumn event, like an outdoor music event. Multiple people were involved, including the singers and then the food organizations that were there, and then the location. We really needed to ramp up how much time we put into social media during that time frame so that we could use the momentum we were getting from putting those ads out on Instagram and Facebook and engaging. And what happens when you do that is the ball starts rolling, and then the singers are using your content because you're tagging them in there. The beer company that is donating money to this event has a booth. They're using your content. They start following you. The musicians are following you. They're sharing to stories. They're sharing to posts. And then those followers, we talked about that. You know, if we look at a Venn diagram, we've got your community here. We've got the musicians community here. We've got food vendors communities here. And now you've got this bigger community, which is all part of a region in your state that is getting ramped up, and people are going to go. They know there's a hashtag for that. And you just really want to keep that fire burning so that you can capture new followers and talk to them and let them know what you do for your work. I can take the next slide. Awesome. Okay, so tools to improve social media. There are a bazillion. If you just go on Google and look for best schedulers for social media, you're going to have close to 50, believe it or not. I'm just pulling out some good ones that I think are easy to use, easy for people who are more of a small business going into like a mid-sized business, people who maybe wear a lot of hats and don't want to spend a lot of time learning something new. So Canva is fantastic. It's easy. They have a free component to their platform. They have good quality graphics. They give you templates. The other thing is to use the tools that each social media platform has. Instagram with their reels have all kinds. You can add music, you can add effects, you can add text. You can create a reel that is like a little video. You can download that video, and then you can share it to LinkedIn. You can share it to Twitter or X. You can share it to Facebook. You can share it to Facebook directly from Instagram. So there's really ways to like slice and dice your content and then share out to your different social media platforms. I definitely wanted to touch on AI, Chat GPT, and all the other. Again, there's a lot of, and every day there's so many of them, and now every day I just noticed that someone I know is saying they're developing a new AI platform for their specific type of business. So they're popping up all the time, and they're super helpful. So instead of, my husband freaked out. He works in the movie industry. He was very much part of the writer's strike, and said, you know, this social media thing freaks me out. And I thought, well, the thing is you can use these things. How, I can either go into fear-based or I can go into curiosity. So I go into curiosity, like, how can I use this? How can AI help me instead of compete with me? And you can use AI as like a writing buddy. You have a paragraph, you're struggling with that paragraph. Nobody wants to help you. Everybody has work to do. So throw it in the Chat GPT, ask, hey, can you help me improve this paragraph? And then it spits out in seconds a paragraph similar to what you've written. I find it is very flowery in the way that it writes. So then I just edit what they say. But I can tell you, it has helped me. Instead of spending an hour on some content I'm trying to write, it's definitely cut down that by at least 50% of the time that it usually takes me. So that you can ask it questions, you can get feedback. I also like it for your own business. So if you're a tech business or a business that you have a hard time conveying how how to say this to a customer, ask ChatGPT. How would you simplify and say XYZ to a customer? it's really interesting what it comes up with, and it shows you, hey, maybe this is where I fall down a little bit on explaining things, and it can improve what you're doing. Upsplash, there's a lot of them. Upsplash is free. I like how it has different folders. You can put, you can create a folder and say, these are my graphics for a webinar I'm going to give. This is the 4 days of the year, because I work on those a lot. Whatever it is, you can even, make a folder for colors, your colors of your business. Adobe Spark, that gets a little bit more difficult in terms of learning how to use video. But if video is your focus, you really should start looking at some video platforms that would help you create video, or, farm it out. You can always farm it out. Analytics on every platform are fantastic for giving you information on how your posting is doing. So I would always check that. Check it at least. You could check it weekly. You could check it monthly, but check it, because that way you can see, like, oh, even though I like, and it's easy for me to post XYZ, those XYZs are not doing well. So why waste my time posting things that aren't doing well? Your analytics are going to tell you that. There also are tools out there that can analyze what you're posting and spit out really nice graphics of, how things are going, so you can change what you're doing. Tools to save time. Buffer is for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. Hootsuite for all the same, plus YouTube. Tailwind is good for Instagram and Pinterest. I've seen it mostly used for Pinterest. I don't know a lot of people who use Tailwind for Instagram. Facebook Business Suite. If we're talking Instagram, you definitely have Facebook Business Suite for that as well. You can post directly from there. What's nice with that is you can post on there. You can post just to Facebook. You have a checkbox for just to Facebook. You have a checkbox for just to Instagram. And then, or you can check them both. And what's nice is you can change the way it posts to Facebook. There's a button to share, to switch it to having different content on each platform. I highly recommend that, because the way things are written on Instagram is different than the way things are received and look like on Facebook. So you want to use those two different things. Pinterest has a great scheduler now. You used to only be able to schedule out like a week, I think. Now you can schedule out a whole month of Pinterest pins. You can pick your time, all so good to use. What I want to emphasize here is there's so many tools, and you could get wrapped up in those tools and go, oh, if I can just do this over the weekend, click all these boxes and then not look at it, your social media will look like a robot did it. Very much so. The feeling, and then we talked about feelings the last time. What you just can't get that feel for things when you're just using tools. So I think that tools can be a crutch. I really like the idea of using some tools and then using some live, getting in there and live. When you check your notifications and you're engaging with your followers, go in there and then, get on there live. They can really see that, wow, that makes people think that you're on there all the time, because you're using tools and you're on there live. So just wanted to make sure that's clear.
Really quickly, Lori, we did have a question in the chat regarding ChatGPT.
Yeah, we can talk about it now if you want. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so this question is, do you or are there available prompts for business owners? Do you have, or are there prompts for business owners available for using ChatGPT?
Prompts. Well, you can go in and you can ask it anything. It's like asking me a question. You can ask it a question. I have a question, and you can write in what your question is. And what happens is it gives you an answer, and it's like, oh, that's not quite the funnel that I'm looking at. So you can edit go ahead, and what it does is it opens a window, answers your question, then you get another comment box. just pop in there. Well, that's not quite what I was driving at. I'm looking at, can you help me with this? And you will get to where you want to go through it.
Great, thank you. There is another question in the chat, but I think this might be best saved for the end or another
Okay.
time.
Sounds good.
That's going over the apps in more detail, but we can save
Okay.
that for later.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, content. You know how many people have come to me saying, I don't have any content. I think it's because we overthink that we don't have any content. We judge our own content. We judge ourselves. So it's always good to have a team to work with, whether it's, can you utilize someone who works with you part-time to sit down and talk about content, even your spouse or your friend or partner. It's so good to get out of your head and get into more of a creative space. That's why having a planning meeting somewhere else where it's beautiful, or over lunch, it really helps spur those ideas. During those meetings, you want to have the focus on value. How can I bring value to my followers? Don't overthink giving too much. You can't give too much. The more you give, the more you receive, the more ideas come to you. It really is a great little circular, amazing way of just creating more and more and more. Use a call to action. Don't forget to do that, especially if you don't want to use call to action all the time. Make sure you have a nice cadence of calling to action. Hey, especially if you're running a sale, service businesses, often you can do a percentage off, or you can say, hey, meet with me for an X amount of time for free. And you can make sure you put that in your social media. Okay, so using high res photos. The thing is using quality photos definitely is, when I go to quality, I'm thinking more like blurry photos, dark photos, photos where you can't really see, because there's two things here. One, high-res photos, really quality photos, using a professional photographer always helps a business. It makes you look like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I have good photos, and you share those. But the other thing is doing some behind the scenes. Our cell phones take great photos and great videos now. And what I'm finding, we'll go to a number 3, is testing. Test this. Are my followers responding more to high-res files, or are they responding more to my spur of the moment photos on my phone or video? And what you really want to do is gear your content towards what your followers are looking for, because those behind the scenes, it gives them that feeling of, hey, I'm there. Oh, wait, there's this window into your company, and it was super effective. So again, when I'm talking about quality photos, just try to have good lighting, try to make sure you have good resolution. They're not blurry, but definitely use a combination of the two, using your own work as well as maybe a professional work, and see what does best for your business. Again, asking questions, polls, quizzes all work really well. For instance, with Twitter X, I had a chat that just closed down who'd been in business. They've been doing a Twitter chat for 13 years. Last week, they decided to stop because they just weren't getting the people joining the chat that they used to. And so I ran a poll saying, where are you? If you're not here, if you're just popping in and looking and leaving, where are you? Did you go to Facebook? Did you go to LinkedIn? Did you go to Threads, which is the spinoff for Twitter X? And what we're finding is not so many people are saying they went to Threads, which is interesting because Threads really came through Instagram, correct? So you could easily, so just a quick thing on Threads, if you haven't gone there yet. So we have Instagram, the way they worked it is you could click over to threads and have your everybody you already follow, that all the people you're following on thread. You can click a button for that, or you can choose to not do that. I don't know why you would not do that, because it's the way to port over people to talk to right away. And because that happened in Instagram, Instagram is here, Twitter is here, and yes, there is some overlap, but really it would have been even better, which they couldn't do because they are not running Twitter, but to have, if they could get people who could port over from Twitter into threads, I think that's the competition, and that's where you would see this influx of people going from Twitter into threads. I've definitely seen a lot of people pop up on threads who said they left Twitter a long time ago, and this was a good opportunity. The only problem with threads is they launched it July 4th this last year, really fast, faster than they had planned. They launched it ahead of schedule. And so they're not really ready for people to be there. So there are people there, and we always have the naysayers who are like, why are we here? This isn't really working. This is stupid. I'm out. But then I wanted to address this, is there are really smart people who work in social media saying, well, wait a minute. If I can use threads if I can use my followers, port over. I have a client who has 120,000 followers on Instagram, following maybe 10,000 of those people, ported all those people over. They're close to 10,000 people on threads already, and having conversations with people. A lot of those people are people they haven't seen in a while on Twitter. And what happens when threads really goes? Because I think it has potential. I think they're working behind the scenes trying to get it to where they want it to be. It's down here and they want it to be up here, and they're working their way up. But your presence will be there. Your people will already be there. And as it becomes more active, you've got a huge, your community is there and thriving as best it can. And then now you have all the tools that they have imported and got working. You're ready. And then you have other people who are like, oh, threads is a thing. And then they come in, they're down here and you're up here because you've been working it all along. So there's that. Again, this is for someone who has a lot of time. Tag people in the conversation who are relevant. I mentioned that with the ad that we ran for another client. I tagged the beer people, the location. I tagged the geolocation, which is the city where this event is going to happen. I tagged the farm that it was being done at. And then that farm actually had like 3 accounts. They had flower farming, they had the regular farm, and they had events for the farm. So all of that helps, again, grow that community. Telling stories, talked about already. Share people behind the brand, so good. So many people love seeing, the tile business I work for, their hands, we talk about our hearts are in our hands. Too bad I don't have a piece of tile right here, but you get to see like how the ladies paint in each individual cell into these tiles. People love that. They want to come and paint. They love to see the process. Oh my gosh, you actually have a cement mixer in there making cement and pouring it into molds. Oh, that's how you got that shape. It poured into a plastic mold that it goes into. So it answers people's questions that you may not know that they have, doing the behind the scenes and seeing the people behind, because that also gives connection. And then people do much better. There's a study that someone did with Georgia Tech. 38% of the posts that were posted did better with people in them. That goes the same with pets. Use your pets. Oh my gosh, do you have a shop dog? Do you have a cat? That's part of, people love cats. There's Catter Day. If there's a cat that you have in your office or at home, in your home office, use those pictures. People love that. Love, love, love. Animals do so well. I use hashtags for those animals. They have their own hashtags. So let's see, length of content. Okay, so let's talk a little bit of length of content. Because you can also use AI to help you with short form and long form. And there are people who specialize in short form and long form. Seth Godin, okay, I'm gonna attempt to pick up a book. This thing is humongous and heavy, but Seth Godin writes a very short blog post every day. And this is a compilation of his blog posts that did very well from 2012 to 2016. Look at that thing. And I have a client that loves Seth Godin. So I bought that book and gave it to that client for the holidays a couple of years ago. And maybe you specialize in short form, you can do it. Matthew Kobach, he ran the Twitter account for the New York Stock Exchange. And his lines on Twitter were probably one sentence, maybe 2 sentences of wisdom. His post did phenomenally. He ended up going to Instagram and doing some testing to see if that same concept could work on Instagram. It didn't work as well, but he was testing to see. So long form content, there's a lot of people who do long form content, and long form content is really good for SEO. Because when people go into Google and say, how do I write long form content? The people who are going to pop up is Neil Patel will definitely pop up. He's a great long form content creator. He is on all social platforms, but he will tell you in detail how to do almost anything that has to do with social media. People are creatures of habit, so a specific day of the week where you post certain posts, that's always helpful. So when you're thinking about doing more of a content calendar, which we'll get in another slide coming up, think of those. Again, have a notebook, keep it in your backpack, I don't know, or keep it in your briefcase, whatever you use that pull around. You can think of, Catterday, Funny Friday. I can think of so many things. Thankful Thursday, I use that a lot. Well, it's Wellness Wednesday. It's Wine Wednesday, wine o'clock. And then I threw some in there for you to take a look at as well. I'll go ahead and take the next slide. Oh, we're running out of time. Good, well, almost done. Okay, community building. There's apps for community building. I just wanted to touch on this because these apps are very cool because people who know, like, and trust you, big on trust, they have to give you their cell phone number in order to be on these apps. And I have a client that has almost 500 people on their social app. We don't spam them because that's how people will totally say, I want out of this, unsubscribe me. But it's a way to connect with people, and they're like, man, this business is writing to me directly on my phone. There's a feeling of I am a part of this community. And we talked about Gary Vee. He used these social apps early on. And I can remember signing up with him to kind of see, like, what is he doing? What do I need to know about these community apps? And my birthday was coming up, and I got a text from him that said, because part of what they grab your cell phone number and your birth date and a couple other details. And so I got a text that said, happy birthday, Lori. And it was and I tagged his number. So that number on my cell phone, I named it Gary Vee. I have another one that's John Acuff. And so it says, Gary Vee sent me a message saying it was my birthday. Woo-hoo! That is very cool. It is a very good way to create community. And you can use that app sparingly in terms of, like, when you have great deals or when you're going to launch something and you want them to know about, you're trying to get them to buy into a 3-day thing you're going to do. Really good for that. I'll take the next slide. And what does communities consist of? I just wanted to make sure this was clear to you. It's not just your followers. It's every single person who's involved in your business. So that includes your mentors who are helping you, or your family members who give you those ideas and help you expand your business. They're in that as well. So it's your followers, your friends, your employees, the stakeholders who are involved in your nonprofits, your supporters. So make sure that you're clearly communicating what your brand is all about, what your business is all about, who your ideal customer is, so they're saying the right thing about your business. And if they're not, you've got to say something so that you have consistency. It's also important that your online presence is the same as your in-person presence. You don't want that incongruency coming to you at any point where, wow, you seem so open and friendly and part, you know, I feel like I'm a part of your community, but when I go to your place of business, I feel like a stranger. This big disconnect. Go ahead to the next slide, thanks. Okay, I think I'm going to pass this because I don't want to, I want to have enough time to talk, but this was just really talking about, with the pandemic, we really learned that community was an important part. And most people who were able to tap into that community have even expanded community into what's going on now. And so community is really something to think about when you're planning your yearly planning. How can I create that community? How can I make sure when I'm out there in person at events that I get those people? I mean, that's what social media is really good about, is you can say, hey, I'm going to be at this event on October 15th. If you're there, come say hi to me. You know, make sure you say something to me. And so those people are going to come up to you and you want to say, hey, oh, you're following me on Instagram. Great. Nice to meet you. So good. So good. Community is my thing. That is my passion. Okay, so a couple ways. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail on this. These are just a couple examples of how people use social media to create a community. Lolly Daskell did it with using a Twitter chat, her writings that are in, you know, Entrepreneur magazine and everything. She ended up writing a book and took that entire community. She did some podcasts, a lot of podcasts, like almost 200 podcasts. So that, again, here's your Venn diagram. We've got Lolly's community. Oh, we've got 200 different communities of people who are into leadership and growing small business and all these different aspects of business. And now people, oh, I know who Lolly is now. Oh, I'm going to get that book. And they write reviews, they buy the book, they write reviews, they become bestsellers. That's Lolly did it, John Acuff did it, Dr. Mindy Pels did it. Here, I'll give you another example. This is a doctor who believes in fasting. One of her recent books is called Fast Like a Girl. I did her fast because of social media. 3-day fast, she did a 3-day fast. It was free. I did it. 72 hours. I fasted just water. Amazing. I am totally hooked. Dan Wilk did it too. He used the community app as a way to marry his writings from the LA Times with the Lakers. And he did all kinds of things where people could share, did they think they were going to win? Who are the best players? Really effective way of creating community. Yay. And definitely want to talk on this. One of the best tools in your social media toolbox. Everybody has this tool. Be kind. The kinder you are, the more you share other people's content, the more you help other people out. I talked about this last time with a win-win-win. I'll use the event with this musical event. It was at a farm, and then this business who had a sponsorship there. So it was the sponsoring company, the farm, the musicians. That is a win-win-win. They gave away VIP tickets to this. So now the person who got the tickets, there were 2 sets of people who got tickets. They know the farm, they know the business, they know the musicians, they know it all. And now they're following, because part of the way to run these social media campaigns is you've got to tag us, you have to like this post, and then you have to share with someone you know. And it's a great, effective way to grow your community.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So I know we're going to have some question and answer time. While we're doing Q&A, I'm going to launch our poll for today.
Oh, good.
Some of you may recognize some of these questions. But yeah, go ahead and answer that poll. And anyone who has questions, now is the time to ask. I actually, I did have a question regarding the use of Instagram and Facebook. Now, you mentioned briefly, Lori, that sometimes you want to use those separately, right? You don't want to have the same content all the time.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So is there any, I know that it doesn't necessarily benefit your business, but are there any drawbacks to posting on both? Because what my staff does is whenever we post to Instagram, we just post directly to our Facebook because they're connected. But if there is some reason why we shouldn't do that,
Right.
then I don't want to do it.
Yeah, no, they can tell. People can tell that so there's a couple things. You can see that it came from Instagram. So meaning I'm so glad you asked this question. Okay, so I do that too. So I want you to know some of the things I tell you, like nothing is, again, I'm very gray. Nothing is black and white. Again, what works for you? Maybe that works for you. You're not seeing any issues. So what I do sometimes, because of time, I will post something on natively. I'm on Instagram, I post it, and you have that little click box that you can say post to Facebook as well. So I just go to Facebook, and you can go to edit, and you can go in there. The reason I go in and edit on Facebook is I know that they're on Facebook, and their Facebook name and their Instagram name are not quite the same, because on Instagram it's at South Bay Social Media, and on Instagram my name is South Bay Social Media, 3 names. So it's, what happens is if they see the at South Bay Social Media on Facebook, and they're not going to be able to click it on Facebook because it's not clickable, because it's not the entity. So I go in there and I go at, and I type in the right name, South Bay Social Media, and then it pops up. And so then I hit save, and then people can click, when they're on Facebook, they can click on that blue link and it goes to South Bay Social Media. Does that make sense? It's not a problem, because typically they see that the whole post is from Instagram. It's just, you can make it better, I guess I could say.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Oh, and wait, let me have one other thing now. That works if it's a post. If it's a reel, it's uneditable. So that uneditable. So with reels, if you post your reel on Facebook, you can't edit it, just so you know, which is fine. And I do it all the time. I do reels on Instagram, and they automatically get posted to Facebook.
Amazing. All right. Any other questions for our business expert while we have her here?
Well, while you're coming up with questions, I'll add another thing so when you share a reel on Instagram, it goes to Facebook, and you can't edit it. The other thing I want to just talk about a little bit is there's ways to get around all of this. Like, again, you can't, also when you do Facebook Meta Business Suite, you can't do reels. You have to do the reel natively on Instagram. So that's the only way to get it over there on Facebook. If you're going to do an ad, you can't use the music that is on the reels. So this is for anybody who's thinking of doing an ad. If you use the music, you have to use original music, and you'll go in, you probably are like, what are you talking about? I just see music. But if you go into Reels from now, since I've mentioned it, you'll see there's music. And then as you go through the music you see, it'll have like famous music. All that is not original. That's original music is a person has created maybe a mix up of some music, or they just did an instrumental on their own. There's a lot of that. So you want to pick original if you're going to do an ad. And you don't want to share it to Facebook. This is getting too much detail, but anyways, you don't want to share it to Facebook, or Instagram won't let you create an ad for that. And these are the things you just learn as you go through trying to do things like, oh, this isn't working. Why isn't it working?
Yeah. Good information. We did have a question in the comments. How do you handle any negative comments?
Oh, such a good question. We did talk about this last time. I typically, I think there's degrees of negativity. And if it's just someone being kind of snarky and saying it really depends on what it is. Number one, I try to answer those things. If I can come up with an answer quickly, I try to answer it as quick as possible. If I need some time to think, like, how am I going to answer that? Because I can get into a mood and say, I want to write back and be snarky. If that's how you feel, don't answer, because all that's going to create is more snark and more dialogue between a troll. So wait until you have a more constructive way to answer. And sometimes maybe the best thing to do is not answer at all. But I really do believe, I would say for all my clients, and I get my share of negativity on there, I answer almost everything. The other thing I would do is, who is the person? If it's a big egghead with no picture and you can't identify, I wouldn't touch it, because they're hiding behind an avatar, hiding behind their computer, and just spewing negativity. If it's a person who clearly had a problem with your product, who identifies themselves, definitely got to answer that. You got to answer. You got to try to work it out. Try to make it a win-win. Kind of a negotiation on. Think about it. Like, is it worth me returning, their money to show goodwill to everyone? I mean, how much did this thing cost? If it wasn't very expensive, just give them the money back. I mean, if it's a valid reason. Again, it's a case-by-case scenario, and you really need to do it strategically.
Great. Well, Lori, thank you so much. You are a wealth of knowledge and information. I have learned so much in these 2 sessions, and I hope that everyone else has too. I know everyone else has as well. So we want to thank you. And I also wanted to say that we are down to our last webinar session next week. So we'll have one more, and same time, same place. And then the following week, the 25th, we will have an in-person event. We just secured the location today, so I will be sending out an evite to everyone. It'll be our mixer. We'll see some of our business experts there who have been leading sessions for us. We'll have some treats and a little certification ceremony for those that completed every session with us. So we're hoping that everyone can make it and get to see each other in person and meet the business experts. So look out in your emails for a little evite, and we're so excited. And thank you for filling out the poll.
People don't want to leave.
Thank you. I was saying thank you. I'm getting ready to leave. I was unmuting myself.
Thank you. And Emily, we saw you on LinkedIn, so you're obviously trying to.
What'd you say?
I said we saw you on LinkedIn. It was a great posting you had. So looks like you're trying to find those moments, right?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to post something else. I'm working on it. It's like, well,
Right on. Good.
While you're talking, I'm gonna post. So I'm getting ready to post again.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, everybody,
I
have
had
a
a
good
quick
week.
question.
Thank you.
Will you
Oh.
email the poll? I missed filling that out. I'm sorry.
Yes, yes, I will email the poll again. Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
Jocelyn.
Sweet. Thank you so much. That was awesome today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, everyone, have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.